emails that have come out where Fergie talks in the most personal and cringe-inducing terms about her daughters to a convicted is just beyond excruciating.
Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, let's dance together, and I was like, okay.
It began with a single message, buried inside a private archive. Time-stamped, cataloged, forgotten until now. According to internal communications allegedly recovered from associates connected to the late financier Jeffrey Epstein, a series of financial discussions referenced individuals identified only by coded titles. But investigators and analysts who later examined the metadata claim those titles corresponded to two of the most recognizable figures connected to the British royal inner circle, Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice. The subject line was short, almost harmless, continued support and discretion. But the body of the message told a different story. It referenced payment structures, offshore routing, and most disturbingly, it referenced timing, aligning financial transfers with periods of heightened public scrutiny surrounding Epstein's legal troubles. This was not casual language. This was operational language. Language designed to protect, language designed to conceal, and language designed to ensure silence. The money trail that left no public record. Financial analysts who reviewed the alleged transaction logs noted a pattern that immediately raised alarms. The funds were not transferred in a single payment. They were divided, fragmented, disguised. Multiple wire transfers reportedly moved through intermediary accounts located outside the United Kingdom. Jurisdictions known for strict banking secrecy. Jurisdictions designed to obscure ownership. Each transfer occurred during critical moments between 2010 and 2019, moments when Epstein's name was returning to headlines. Moments when survivors were coming forward, moments when investigators were reopening questions many believed had already been buried. And every time attention intensified, the same pattern appeared. Money moved, quietly, precisely, without explanation. The inner circle connection. To understand the gravity of these allegations, investigators turned their focus toward proximity. Because proximity creates exposure, and exposure creates risk. Both princesses were known to have been introduced to Epstein's social world through their family connections, particularly through their mother, Sarah Ferguson, and their father, Prince Andrew. At the time, Epstein maintained relationships with some of the most powerful individuals in politics, finance, and aristocracy. His residences were not simply homes, they were controlled environments. Private islands, secured estates. Locations where guest lists were carefully managed, and where activities remained undocumented. Officially, but internal correspondence allegedly referenced prior visits, prior interactions, and prior knowledge of events that were never meant to become public. That is what made the payments significant, not their size alone, but their timing and their purpose. The timeline investigators could not ignore. The dates aligned too precisely to dismiss. In 2010, shortly after Epstein's release from incarceration, communications reportedly referenced renewed contact. In 2011, financial discussions referencing continued cooperation appeared. In 2015, another message referenced ensuring stability during media exposure. And in 2017, as global investigations intensified, additional financial movements were allegedly authorized. Each moment corresponded with renewed public attention. Each moment corresponded with increased risk. And each moment was followed by silence, no statements, no denials, no acknowledgments, just distance, carefully maintained distance. The role of the intermediary. Among the most revealing elements of the alleged communications was the recurring presence of a familiar name, Sarah Ferguson. Emails attributed to her reportedly included expressions of gratitude toward Epstein, referring to his support during periods of financial hardship. In one exchange, she allegedly discussed logistical arrangements. In another, she acknowledged financial assistance directly. While there is no publicly verified evidence proving criminal wrongdoing by the princesses themselves, the existence of these communications and the financial patterns surrounding them has fueled ongoing speculation, because in investigations involving influence and protection, intermediaries play a critical role. They create separation, they create plausible deniability, and they ensure that connections remain indirect. The palace and the protection structure. Any financial activity involving members of the royal family inevitably intersects with institutional oversight. Advisors, legal teams, security officials all exist to protect the stability of the monarchy, which raises the question investigators continue to ask: who knew? Because movements of this scale do not occur in isolation. They pass through systems, they trigger reviews. They leave internal records, and at the center of that system stands Buckingham Palace. Publicly, no formal accusations have been proven against Princess Eugenie or Princess Beatrice regarding these alleged payments, but privately, the existence of these communications has intensified scrutiny, not because of what has been proven, but because of what has never been explained. The silence that followed, perhaps the most unsettling element, is not what was said. But what wasn't that no lawsuits challenging the authenticity of the alleged emails, no direct legal refutations addressing the specific financial timelines, no detailed explanations clarifying the nature of the relationships described, only carefully worded public distance from Epstein following his arrest and death in 2019, distance that appeared sudden, distance that appeared calculated, distance that appeared final. Because in cases involving power, reputation becomes the most valuable currency of all, and protecting it becomes the highest priority. The question that remains. Investigators, journalists, and analysts continue to examine the fragments, the emails, the transfers, the timelines. Individually, each piece raises questions. Together, they form something far more disturbing, a pattern. A pattern suggesting that behind the public image of stability and tradition, private decisions were being made under entirely different conditions. Conditions driven by risk, driven by exposure, and driven by the need to ensure that certain truths never reach the surface, because once financial silence is established, breaking it becomes nearly impossible, and the deeper investigators look, the more they are beginning to realize this story didn't end with the transfers. That was only the beginning. The containment phase began immediately. The moment Epstein's network began collapsing, something else happened behind the scenes. Communications slowed. Invitations stopped. Public associations quietly disappeared. Individuals who had once appeared openly in the same social orbit as Jeffrey Epstein suddenly created distance. Not gradual distance, immediate distance. According to analysts who later reviewed internal timelines, this behavioral shift did not begin after Epstein's final arrest in 2019. It began years earlier, right when the financial transfers allegedly started appearing in parallel with rising legal pressure. That timing raised a critical question investigators could not ignore. Were these actions reactive, or were they preventative? The pattern of strategic withdrawal. Public appearances involving Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice showed a subtle but measurable change after 2011. Archived event records show fewer overlapping social environments connected to Epstein's known associates. Fewer photographed encounters. Fewer documented shared locations. Experts in reputational risk management describe this as controlled separation. Not panic. Strategy. Because in high-profile institutions, image preservation begins long before public exposure. It begins the moment internal risk is identified. And by the time the public notices distance, the real decisions have already been made behind closed doors. The email language that disturbed analysts most. Among the most scrutinized elements were not the transfers themselves, but the words surrounding them. Phrases like ensuring continued comfort, maintaining privacy, and avoiding unnecessary complications appeared repeatedly in communications attributed to Epstein's financial coordinators. None of these phrases explicitly stated a legal intent, but investigators noted something far more telling. These were not casual expressions. They were operational phrases. Language used when managing liabilities. Language used when managing exposure. And most importantly, language used when managing individuals who possess knowledge capable of causing irreversible reputational harm if disclosed. The intermediary role that created distance. At the center of many communications was the figure investigators described as the stabilizer. Sarah Ferguson appeared repeatedly in correspondence chains involving logistical coordination. Analysts believe intermediaries serve a specific purpose in sensitive financial relationships. They act as buffers. They prevent direct transactional links. They ensure that principles remain separated from operational mechanics. This structure protects everyone involved. Because if scrutiny ever arrives, the chain of direct accountability becomes fragmented. And fragmentation creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates doubt. And doubt protects reputations. The institutional shield around the monarchy. Financial oversight connected to royal figures is rarely informal. Advisors, compliance officers, and legal representatives monitor risks continuously, which is why investigators examining these allegations have repeatedly referenced the protective structure surrounding Buckingham Palace. Not as evidence of wrongdoing, but as evidence of awareness. because institutions designed to protect continuity cannot afford surprises. Every potential threat is assessed. Every reputational vulnerability is contained. And every emerging crisis is managed before it reaches public visibility. That is how institutions survive for centuries. Not by avoiding crises, but by controlling their impact. The final years before everything collapsed. By 2018, Epstein's legal exposure was accelerating rapidly. Survivors were speaking publicly. Journalists were reopening dormant investigations. Internal pressure was building globally. And then something else happened. Communications allegedly referencing ongoing financial support stopped appearing. Completely. Abruptly. As if a switch had been flipped. Analysts believe this moment marked the transition from maintenance phase to containment phase. Because once public exposure becomes inevitable, the objective changes. Is no longer about preventing discovery. Is about limiting damage. The arrest that changed everything. When Epstein was arrested again in July 2019, the consequences moved faster than anyone anticipated. His detention removed the central figure who had maintained control over his network's internal structure. And when he died weeks later inside federal custody, the most important witness disappeared permanently. His death did not end questions. It multiplied them. Because without Epstein, the explanations vanished with him, leaving only documents, transfers, emails, and silence. The silence that continues today. Neither Princess Eugenie nor Princess Beatrice has been formally charged with any crime related to Epstein. No court has proven wrongdoing. No official ruling has established criminal liability. But investigators, journalists, and analysts continue examining the timeline because patterns do not disappear simply because explanations never arrive. And silence in cases involving power and protection often becomes the loudest signal of all. Because when false accusations emerge, denials usually follow immediately. Legal challenges appear quickly. Corrections are demanded publicly. But when silence persists for years, it creates a vacuum. And vacuums invite scrutiny. The question that has never been answered. Why were payments allegedly structured in secrecy? Why were intermediaries involved? Why did distancing behavior begin years before public exposure? And why even now do fragments of these communications continue surfacing long after Epstein himself is gone? Investigators may never receive complete answers, because systems designed to protect power are also designed to outlast controversy. They endure, they adapt, they survive, but the documents remain, the timestamps remain, and the timeline remains frozen in place, waiting, preserved, unanswered. Because sometimes the most disturbing truth isn't what investigators can prove. It's what nobody can explain.